podcast. Today we have Gretchen Kelly. Super excited to have her on. Gretchen has been coming to the gym for, 7 years? Six? 2018?
Yes.
Gosh, I thought it had been a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
You've done enough workouts for 10 years.
So I know I met Gretchen through Kate, and I did the pump and run, and we were training together. And then did you and Kate know each other from Lifetime at all?
No, we hadn't met, but
Okay.
I knew of you.
Okay.
Through a mutual friend with Brittany.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Kate was friends with Brittany, and then you guys were all mutual friends, and that's kind of how.
Brittany would work out with you sometimes, right?
Yes, we had
And
for a
Brian.
while.
Yeah.
And actually and I'm kind of jumping ahead, you probably say how you get into CrossFit. She's how I got into CrossFit.
Okay.
Very cool.
She was working out at the old gym with you guys, and she knew me and my workout style very well. And she was like, you need to try this. She's like, you would love this. It's high energy. It's competitive. And so I came in for a class, did like a drop-in, and then I was like, can I do like a month drop-in? And then I was hooked.
Yeah.
So yeah, immediately I loved it.
Well, you were, and that kind of takes us into, a little bit how we met you was through the pump and run. And if we can even backtrack before that. So what was your background as far as like sports, exercise, things like that growing up?
I always played sports. I did a lot of soccer. That's what I was really good at, was soccer as a kid. And then high school, I was really good at lacrosse. So it was, as you might expect, I was good at like the running, endurance, aggressive type sports. So lacrosse, I played that to my senior year. I thought about playing in college, probably could play it in college at the very least on a club level. And I ended up just kind of following my friends and ended up going to party instead. Yeah. I went to OU. They did have a club team there. And then I saw the hours of like the workouts. I was like, I think I'm just going to have fun. So I did still work out there. I worked out. I've always been an active person. Yep. So I would go to Ping, which is their sports facility, and work
Ping
out
was
there.
nice.
It really was. They had a rock climbing wall and everything. So, but I would predominantly do like the classes and stuff like that. I wasn't a big weightlifter. I hadn't really done a lot with weight, so
back in those days, it was very almost segregated. That Ping Rec Center, they did have like machines and some cardio upstairs. And do you remember the weight room
was separate? It
was separate, and it was very busy, and it was only almost like men only,
just the athletes.
I never saw. I remember I used to work out there all the time. Occasionally, you'd see one girl stray in, but it was a very rare thing. I'm sure that's so drastically different today than that was then.
But, you're spot on. It was and it was intimidating for that reason. You'd go by and you hear all these weights drop. And I'm like, I'm just going to go up and do the step class, and walk around the track. But I was always there, so I was always active.
Yeah.
But I didn't do any sort of like organized sports then.
Okay.
I did a lot of running post-college. I loved to run. I did like Globo, like Lifetime and stuff like that. But again, not really much weightlifting. And
would you compete? Like, would you do 5Ks or?
It's funny. I would run with my dog every morning before work. I worked I was a school teacher, a 6th grade teacher, and I would take her on a 3-mile like sprint. Right, it was just the route. It didn't need to be 3 miles. It just was. And then I had a student who had an illness that they were doing a fundraiser for, and there was a 5K, and I was like, well, of course I'm going to do this for him. Well, then competitive Gretchen kicks in, and I'm like, I'm going to beat all my students. 5K. Won the 5K, but I remember I came home and I told Brian, my husband, he was like, how'd you do? And I was like, I got like 1940. Had never run a 5K. Wow. And he's like, 1940. And he's like, are you sure?
You smoked that.
Yeah. So he's like, you should do like a real competition. And then I never really did any of their competitive races other than the pump and run. And I loved that because I loved how it had the bench part as well. So we would train for that. At this point, I obviously was married to him, and he's a personal trainer. And so he would help with the bench part for Brittany and I, and then we would run and do the run training. And then
you guys always had a great group, though.
Yes.
I mean, he would train really well for it. It was super exciting. I remember we went over and did a couple workouts with him.
Yeah, that was fun.
He was a great trainer. Had a great group. And I've seen women as fast as you, but they can never have that like strength. So it's so cool to see how strong you were.
Max out the bench and do that run.
Yeah.
We had to train for the bench because that, I wasn't 40 yet, so there wasn't any deduction. Well, you did the 70%. So it was a lot of weight for, I was doing, I think 90 or 95 pounds for 30. So we did train that.
Yeah.
But the run, I would train, but not anything serious.
Right. But you're so fast.
That was already kind of natural.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was cool.
How many of those did you do?
4, I think.
Okay. I believe you came in second the year that we did it.
Yeah.
Kate got third for the girls, right behind you. But I remember
then I got really slow.
I remember
year was
you got
that?
second.
Oh gosh,
I
I'm
think that
not
was 18.
Brandon's
That was
better with the
2018,
dates.
yeah.
I think it was. The year before was, I think, my best.
Okay.
I think I came in second twice.
Yeah.
But that was the year that overall I came in 10th. I did like a 1911, I think.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But the woman who beat me, she was like 18:30. And
Yeah. She was
with
fast.
running, you just can't make up that much time when you're already going that fast. Like you don't get 30 seconds, but I wasn't willing to put in the
every
work.
second. No, every second
3
was
months
painful.
of training.
Yeah,
Take 1 second off
Exactly.
your
It's insane.
100%.
Was she older? Is that
Yes.
Yeah, I
And she
remember.
kept coming. I would look each year, and I'm
Yeah.
like, gosh, maybe if she'd go away, I'd come back.
Right. Well, it was back in the day when I'm like, oh wow, that's kind of old, like 43, 44. Right
Oh,
here,
yeah.
right now.
Literally, I was like, this old lady keeps taking
Maybe when
it.
I get clear
I'm
down
that-
the road
no,
when
I'm
I'm
that
that
old lady.
age.
I am
yeah,
that old lady.
exactly.
I'm her exact age. So,
Yeah.
but I've told you, we've talked about how I would like to, now that I wouldn't have to train as much for the bench, not just because of the age deduction, but also just because of the training.
You get all the
Yeah.
strength training in the
Yes.
workouts you're doing.
Yeah.
So I don't think I would get even close to the run, but it'd just be fun to do.
Yeah.
Like before I was competing to win. Now it'd be fun to just compete, just
Yeah.
to do it, to have a good time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's funny. Mandy was just asking me to do it. It's a tough time of year for me to
during
want to
the
get
open.
light
right
and
in the-
fast. And I usually need to lose 5 pounds because I always want to be 130. And that's hard for me. And then I'm like, oh, it's February, but I need to start in January to try. And it's a tough time of year.
I hadn't even thought about that. The weight thing would be a problem for me now because I was also trying to be 130,
Yeah,
but now
yes.
my body composition has changed a little bit. I don't even know if I could.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But it's a good event.
It is.
It's I think it's really nice how they have the strength and the speed component. I just don't love how long it takes. I would love to do like the bench and straight into the run. So that 3-hour gap kills me. Mm-hmm.
I've always disliked that because then
Yeah.
and it's always, it's freezing. So you get
Yeah.
cold and you've kind of lost your excitement, the momentum, and
Yeah.
now you got to run a 5K.
Right.
So
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I was going to say, moving forward from that, you started to do CrossFit and started to kind of shift focus. So you did, so you came over with Brittany, tried to work out, started to get hooked. Kind of walk us through that, like how that was, and then just like, then you started like peaking at the open and, those types of things. So
I came in so endurant, right, from doing those races and what I've been doing. So I kind of naturally was doing well with those things. Then here comes like the skill and the strength. And I'm like, what is this? And I think that's also part of what I love because I was like, well, I've done this before.
Yeah.
So that was a fun challenge. So I started working with Dan right away to get the skills and some of the strength stuff too, but predominantly the skill stuff. So, and then, that open, I did really, really well. I remember of course, I'm always doing them for fun. There's no expectation. And that one I did really, really well. And because of the endurance and I just got some skills, I took an injury shortly after that and that kind of backed everything up a little bit and slowed everything down. So
Is that your back?
that was my calf,
Oh, that was the calf. Okay.
which Brandon and I were just talking
Yeah.
about.
I want you to walk us through that because this is something that, Kate and I have talked about on this podcast. We'll go through it with people. And I was kind of talking to you about, it's never fun to, I guess, like, commiserate on injuries and talk about that. But someone looks at you. So I see you in here training every day. You and Megan Ward are like super moms, like walking on your hands, doing muscle ups, snatching big weights. And I think, sometimes people will peer over and they think maybe you're just built different. Like you were kind of gifted in a way that like maybe some of us weren't, and that you don't like, they don't know like how I hurt my back in high school or my leg. And like, I think it's good for people who are like really high achieving and high performing people in the gym to like talk about like, I really struggled with this, like your calf. Like walk us through, give us a few minutes about like what that calf injury was like, and then also how frustrating it was. And like, I couldn't really figure it out for a little while.
Yeah, it was very frustrating. First, to clarify, when Megan and I are doing our workout, she's doing the muscle ups and the big weights, and I'm usually like talking, waiting for her to come.
No. I was just thinking it's smart for you to
honestly.
partner with her though, because she's so strong, and it probably helps her to partner with you with like the endurance piece. Like you guys are a good team.
Yes.
Yeah, to make each other better. I mean, it's cool, and you could just go with people the same sort of strength, and you're not shying away from your weaknesses.
Yeah,
which is
100%.
Really neat.
We have a little bit of like a symbiotic relationship,
Yeah.
I guess. We benefit from one another.
Yeah.
But back to your question with the calf, I had strained it running, just a simple calf strain, nothing.
Yep.
And then I went on vacation the next week, and I was walking in the sand, and I felt something happen again. I was like, did I just re-strain it? And the next day it was huge. It was swollen, like something was clearly wrong. So I laid off of it. And then a few days later, it was ice cold. And like my muscle tone was gone. I don't know if it happened a few days later. I'd say within a week, there was no muscle tone. It atrophied. Like it was wild, because it was like, what is happening? Like there was no, temperature. And we would heat it up, we'd massage it, put it in a hot tub. I mean, everything. Tried everything. Had a compression sock on it, and it would not heat up. So I got a lot of tests done, arterial tests done, vascular tests done. I saw several doctors. No one could really figure it out. I'm trying to remember who even figured it out. It might have been my chiropractor. Or he just said, like, I feel like it could be something neurological because of the temperature change, because of the muscle atrophy, because it's not responding to, this, and that. So, and he started doing some laser therapy on me. It ended up being something called CRPS. It's usually accompanied with like excruciating pain, but all the other symptoms were aligned. But because I didn't have the pain, I think a lot of people who knew what this was ruled that out. So my therapy to fix that, they started doing these lasers to awaken my nerves. Basically, your sympathetic nervous system is overreactive. And you have to, and it's cyclical, because like you look down and my leg is, something's wrong with it, and then you freak out, and then it just continues and gets worse. So the way that you counteract it is you have to do things to stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system, like yoga, meditation, things that I never do.
Yeah, see, it all comes back to this. This is why I always want to talk about this. It all comes back to it. Yeah.
We just had someone on last week that was kind of all about these sort of things.
Yeah.
So, and then also Mandy knew what it was. They all did, and helped me do some mirror therapy. So you kind of trick your mind. So she'd have me calf raise on my good calf facing the mirror. So it would look like my bad calf was working, because it was so it had no functionality. I couldn't even do a single calf raise, like within a month.
I mean, and you, like, your love is running.
Yes.
It's one of your like main love. Yes, I remember.
Very hard.
Yeah.
And coming in and doing the classes, I was doing all levels 5 days a week. I loved it. So, you can't do much of that.
Yeah.
But we figured out, Dan was really helpful during the time we would get. So if you ever see me do a lot on the rig, like on muscle ups now, I tend to go up, I do this dead stop, and I do this huge swing instead of just jumping up and going. And everyone's like, why do you do that weird? It's because I spent 6 months jumping up from a box that he would help me. I'd shimmy over and then I would go get my momentum. And I never unlearned that. Unfortunately, I'm sure I could if I really, so that's where that came from. But we figured out ways for me to still come in. I was saying when you came in, I was limping at the time, and people are like, go rest. If you're limping, it hurts that bad. Stop. And I was like, no, it doesn't hurt. It just wouldn't work. Like I couldn't use the muscle. There was
so
no
it was basically
function.
like a neurological issue that muscle wouldn't turn on.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't
the way
firing.
that it turned off is because of the way my body, I guess, reacted to the strain.
Yeah.
Because I truly did injure it.
Yeah.
But then it was like, nope, you're shut down. Nervous system shut it down. Like, you're not okay. You don't get to use be used anymore. So between the laser thing with that stimulated the nerves with my chiropractor, doing a lot of the meditation and yoga that, again, I had never done before. So that was all very new and hard to even learn to get my mind at rest. And then Mandy was doing the mirror therapy with me and some other exercises to try to awaken some muscles around it. And it eventually just slowly, I remember Colton, my son at the time, had his hand on my calf, and he's like, Mom, I can feel some warmth on your leg. And I'm like, what? It was just this very exciting day because it had been months.
Yeah.
And it took a long time, of course, to build back up. But that was it took me completely out of running, took me out of a lot of things, which was hard because I am like an active person. I like to move around. And again, we found ways to do stuff, but to not have a limb, that long was definitely challenging. So.
No, that's really cool. Like how you, and again, like everything's not just like simple. Like that is that's a trickier than this is broke. You have to rest it, put it in a splint, whatever it is. Like everyone's shrugging their shoulders at you, and then you have to go real deep inside your own self to like, almost like no one's going to save me. I have to kind of figure this out. Didn't you feel that way a bit?
Little bit at one point, yeah. And it was hard because your whole thing is you're trying to look at it and not look at it as this thing that's going to freak you out and then make that nervous system overreactive again. So it was, So I tried to not even look at it, I remember, because I was like the things that would go on in my head, like why, all these things that are upsetting. So I would not look at it and just do that mirror therapy. But yeah, it's crazy what the mind can do and what your nervous system can do. And
I've just dealt with similar issues, and so I always think it's so interesting and always want to hear how people are able to climb out of those tricky spots, because it is like, it's when your life and what you kind of look forward through your day is like, that training session and executing on it and having fun in it, and it's suddenly kind of, not there the way you would like it to be. It really changes your life, in a way that's not positive, and it's like, climbing out of that can be tough. So
it was. Yeah. It sucked.
Is it hard for you to keep the yoga and the meditation when you're well?
Yes.
Me too.
I do not as much the meditation. I'll do the yoga stuff. Brian's better about that. He's very more balanced all around. I'm more of just like, let's go, 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 So I've not been diligent with it. But I also think where I am now with my work, I was working in a school full-time and then working part-time in university and young kids. I don't remember, my stepsons were still in the house at that time.
There's a lot of other factors adding to the stress and the load. Yeah.
And I have eliminated a lot of that in that, I got rid of my son. No, I'm just kidding. Eliminated what? I have a different job. I work from home.
Now my calf feels great.
All it took was just to get him out the door, and I was like, no, I work from home. It's extremely people are probably surprised to me say I work with how much you see me here, but I work from home. A very flexible job. I have great coworkers. So I have a lot of time to do the things I want. I'm not like, go as far as like my schedule.
Yeah.
So that has helped. But it is just telling this story is a good reminder that I need to be implementing that stuff back in because, it doesn't take just like that. All can change.
I think that's pretty common. Whatever the issue is, the things that make us better, you often stop doing them once you get better. And then the cycle keeps going. It's very difficult.
It's even with like little injuries. Like I recently strained my calf, right? And it's because I stopped doing things that I should be doing all the time. We have really great programming. When we do the accessory, if I do my accessory all the time, then there's usually no issues. But I am also 44 years old. So if I don't feel great, I shouldn't be doing certain things. I should take a day off or maybe modify more. And I'm not always great about that. So honestly, it's almost like a blessing and a curse when you get a little injury anyway, like a little strain, because then
slows you down a little bit.
You need to slow down and remember that you can't jump, this much weight at your age. You need to slowly, if you're having a day where your leg is tight, which it was, then maybe modify things a little more. But I get so excited about the workouts that I'm like, I want to do this and I can't wait, So, but yeah, it does help to just remind yourself, okay, you need to be doing these things all the time, not just when something happens.
Yeah. So no, I think that's a good point. And it reminds me literally the last week or two, I've been kind of sick and just maybe not feeling great this fall. And I've been getting back to like training in the classes and stuff pretty much every day. And then I'm feeling like a little banged up and like old things starting to come back. And I'm like, you've completely gotten away from doing any of your meditation, your stretching, all your shit that you're like supposed to be on. Right? And it's all like building right back up. I'm like, oh man, I gotta go brush my teeth again and start doing that stuff.
Well, and I think it can feel obsessive. Like I feel that way. Like I have everything really planned out, but it's like today I have meditate every day for 20 minutes. And if I can't find that time, then I start to freak out. Then I'm like, okay, there does become a point where you can be obsessive with everything.
Sure.
Like I want everything to be so balanced. Like if I can't take yoga on Thursday and if I can't meditate in the middle of the day, or even like on a Saturday, like, hey, it's not a big deal if you can't meditate today. Like, let it go.
Meditation is supposed to help with this panic.
I know, I know.
You're turning the meditation into like a task
into
to
a
do.
Stress.
You're trying to gamify it.
Yep.
I get like superstitious. Like if I don't meditate, then my nervous system's off. Then I won't sleep, and then it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But the whole thing, yes, just kind of like stresses you out. But it's tough to have that balance with everything. Or the sauna. I started doing the sauna, and then I have to do the sauna every day. And if I don't get in there for 15 minutes, then it's like, okay, well, I'm not getting that benefit, So it's a tricky little balance, I think.
You guys seen where they make fun of guys who have on podcasts they talk about these 2-hour morning routines. Like, then I do the sauna and the cold plunge, and then I like read an audiobook on double time while I'm on a treadmill.
The best is like
and I have my whole day done by the time it's 5:30 in the morning. And
like the vision planning with your spouse or something is like a morning walk. This guy literally does this where every morning he and his wife discuss like what their vision is for the future for like 40 minutes while they walk.
Yeah, it's like it's a great exercise. So it's like
right.
No, so it's like
what we said yesterday.
An exercise where you're kind of like you're trying to manifest whatever you want. So maybe I guess like whatever you're working on will kind of align with that. I get the thought process, but again, what you're doing is you're turning it into a huge list of tasks, and you're not living life. You're living like a weird robot.
Yeah,
trying to get all this stupid shit in.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can definitely do that. I think there is a balance between, hey, don't get so far away from that where when you do have extra time, you're running over and flipping the TV on. It's like, hey, I've got a half hour here. I've been real stressed out this week. Maybe don't turn on the TV or just start scrolling through my phone. Probably a good time to go do a meditation or go stretch out or whatever it is that would help that. I don't know. But yeah, this just reminds me of, Brandon, you're not on top.
Yeah.
You need to get back on top of all that stuff so we don't run into one of those injuries that sets us back here.
Right.
So recently you did the Open and quarterfinals this past year. You did pretty good. Like, so you did, is this the first quarterfinal you did or the second one?
It's the second.
That you completed?
Right.
As well? Okay.
I was invited at least one other time.
No, you've been invited a few times. I didn't know if you had done ones outside of this year, this past year.
I did the year before.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did too.
Okay, cool.
I did that one. In the years before when I was invited, I remember I was always kind of like, I'm not going to do well. Like, why would I do that? And now I've just kind of thrown that out. I'm just like, let's just see what you can do. It's you against you. How much can you improve from the previous year? And I'm in I think the first year I was like 600. And then last year started out good and then had a strength one that dropped me big time. I think I ended like in 400 or high 300. But I'm like, I have to look at that was a 200-person jump.
Yeah.
And this year the goal will just be to improve it. So I do like doing them now that I've gotten over that fear of like, I don't know, worrying what other people think. And it's just about how I'm competing for me, you know?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, I usually use the example, like when I go to run a 5K, I don't expect to win, although you did win yours. Like, you know, why not do the open or something like that? Like, I'm not going to win, but it's tough, I think, when you have a history and then people expect for you to do well, and then they're looking up your score and they're like, okay, well, hey, what's wrong with you? You don't feel well, or
right?
You know, and they're like, actually,
I was feeling good till you mentioned something.
I was feeling fine. Yeah.
And I get really, I'm doing better, but I do compare myself a little too much. And that's something I'm working with, because I know, you know, that whole comparison's the thief of joy. I'm aware of that. I do that. And I need to remember that even like with Wodify, that like with the weights, I'll be so far away. And sometimes I get down, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like 40 pounds away from everyone with this lift, whatever. I have to remember, like, but for you've improved every single lift. Like, I have PR'd every single lift this past year, even if only by 5 pounds. And even if I'm only 30, 40 pounds away from everyone else, for me, that's good. And, you know, I remember Jake said a while ago, he's like, when you put your score in Wodify, he's like, that's for you and that's for me. So we can kind of see where you are. And I try to remember that. So I'm like, it's not about, like, sure, it's fun to compete and all that, but it needs to be more about, like, my goal is just to get better, right? Mm-hmm. So it's me against me. And absolutely. It's still something I've got to remind myself. I'm like, it's just, you know, it doesn't matter where everyone else is. So that's the mentality I really try to have with every day, and with, you know, the open quarterfinals. I'll do it again. I have no reason not to do it. As long as I'm feeling good, I will do it.
And that was even with an injury though last year, because you had, because I remember my back was hurt, and you had, was your hamstring?
Her hip.
Or your,
I think it was there was hamstring I pulled right before.
And your
like
shoulder.
4 or 5 days.
Yeah, it was
before.
like your hamstring and your shoulder, and you're like, well, we were kind of in the same boat, but I'm like, I can't. I'm shutting it down right now. But you went ahead and did it and did great.
I did. I was working though. I wasn't just like, you know, throwing caution. I worked with Maddie, and I was like, do you think I should? And she gave me like positions of how to do everything to not bug anything.
And you didn't hurt yourself anymore. No, I think it was great.
But every week I was seeing her, and every week when the workout came out, you know, I'd text, like, "What should I do it?" Because if I would not hurt myself worse, of course, for the open. So if she had said no, this isn't worth it, I would have 100% not done it. But she was like, just make sure, you know, the hamstring, keep your chest up on the cleans, you know, whatever it might be. So
hamstrings are tricky. It's almost like if you can just, once you strain them, if you can move with really good movement quality and not get into that, like, you know, manic, like, I'm going to just move as fast as I can. It's really how you kind of protect it. I find, like, whether it's with snatches or deadlifts or just any hinging, you know,
kind of work around it. It's, don't get me started with the hamstring. I hate how long they take to get healed.
Yes, yeah.
You know, I never ever had pulled a hamstring until I got into my
awful.
40s, and now, like, and you know,
then
Brian did the other day. He did, which was racing someone, our child, and he strained his, you know, within like 6 feet. And I'm like, we got to remember, we can't just
go from 0 to 60. Yeah.
There's a podcast I listened to, and this guy played college football and had been like an MMA fighter, and there was like another host they had on it, and he was an athlete. I think he had been like a cheerleader or something in college, and they'd talked trash for a long time, so they took him out to the track to run 100, and the guy's, I think he's about my age. He was maybe 41 or something, and really fit, strong dude, and within like the first 20 yards just completely blew his hamstring out. He's like, I'm never doing that again. You have to kind of train into it, you know. Sprints, you got to be careful with, like, you need to ease into it, and then you can get those things firing. But if you haven't gone all out on a sprint like you probably tried to, like, when you were racing, that's when you do it. I know, because I did the same thing like 6 years ago, and it was horrible.
Well, you just forget. You know, you forget. I can't. In the 20s, you could jump out of bed and you could do a sprint uphill and be fine. And now it's like, I don't know, if I trip, I might pull my hand.
You just have to ease into it and train everything. You have to just train it now. Like, to get to where you're going to do it safely, you have to train it. And then it's like, okay, now that skill's there, rather than just like letting her rip and seeing what happens. The sprinting and the hamstrings, definitely one of those.
Sometimes I wonder, though, if it's like working out for so long and your body's been through injuries, if it doesn't almost like hyper react. You know what I mean? Like when you're young and you don't navigate many injuries, your body, like if you start to pull something, it's like, oh, hey, we're okay. You know, we've always been okay. But then once you start to have them, your body's like, oh no, remember that hamstring pull last year? Like it's almost like a neurological message or something that, because I like even just when I started getting into running a little bit more, I got a slight case of plantar fasciitis, and then it was like every year I had it. And it was just like my body was remembering that. And then it started to kind of be that way with my hamstrings. I pull my left and then I pull my right. And it was like would go back and forth where it's almost just like, you know, in a way like a neurological, hey, we're going to slow you down a little bit because you've injured yourself before. And it's just kind of...
You're probably not tearing tissue.
Yeah, like I don't know that the injury's ever even any worse. It's just like literally teaching your body it's still safe as you age, but you've gone through more injuries and like, hey, we're still safe. We're still safe, you know?
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I mean, I'm definitely as neurotic as they come. So anything that could be neurological, it certainly could be. And it's been, I've had.
I'm joking.
Now you need to get more neurotic about your meditation like me.
Yes.
Find something else to obsess over.
I know. But the whole, back and forth. Mine's been the same hamstring. So it's just, I need to just focus on that leg and build it up
what's
and give
this
it more
thing?
strength. Fitbit.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not the full whoop thing?
No, I'm not. I don't know that I need all that data.
Yeah.
So that's what, because we have a lot of people, and I think that sounds really cool, like the full whoop data things, and people are like, hey, do you have that? And like with your sleep tracking and all of that, I'm like.
The Aura Ring is the big one now. That's supposed to be
I almost got that.
Yeah.
I said that's the last thing I need.
I would take, why is that?
Because
you would have so much data.
Well, yeah, it's gonna stress me out because I'm like, well, I only got 4.5 good hours of sleep tonight, so I guess I'm not. Maybe I'm gonna just do like some bands and.
I do that a little bit. This does track sleep. I don't know how accurate it is, but I'll be like, I'll decide like if Brian's like, how'd you sleep, and I'll be like, I'll look at that. I'll be like, just okay, and you know what I mean, versus just how I felt.
Yeah,
yeah.
But it gets you down when you see it lower. And I did think about the Oura Ring, but I have to take it off so much with what we do here. So I have just the simple one with like the steps. And it does sleep track and I don't know, a couple other things.
You just have to wear it all night too, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The analytics would just drive
too much.
I would be obsessed with it. I'd love it, and I'd be like, okay, I'm up 3 pounds, but it would be a bad thing for Brandon.
You like the data too much, but it would be.
The sleep one would really mess with me. It's like, okay, I'm in the red or whatever it is, and I would like not want to work out or be cautious or then maybe a day I'd be like, oh, I should go full on, and it would mess with me rather than just like, well, I think I feel good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
I think that it does serve a purpose for like the high level athletes.
It's a time and place for it.
Yeah. So
what I do like about it, like I have a client who has the Oura Ring, and I talk about stress a lot with my clients because I feel like, especially when they want their body composition to change, if they're like so stressed out, and they're going to keep like a layer on. So we talk a lot about that sleep, but then the Oura Ring will measure your daily stress like while you're awake, and her daily stress was really high, and I'm trying to get her to do like, I call it like the mom shutdown, like the middle of the day before you grab your kids, like just shut down for 20 minutes and kind of like recalibrate, because not every mom, but most moms I work with, that's the time that they kind of get like, they're jonesing for some sugar, they kind of just feel tired, but like they're looking for some sort of energy source that's not, they really just kind of need to like chill out for a moment. And it's neat to see that like daily stress is high. So as we get older too, I think there's a reason why you need to just gradually slow down like you have with your career, whether that's like cutting back hours or just a load or something. And I think in my opinion, it's kind of unnatural to go like full bore and then retire. Like I think it's smart to kind of taper, like a soft retirement. I'm in my soft retirement phase.
I'm in my soft retirement phase where we're able to travel a little more and work a little bit less. And definitely.
I think, not for everyone, but I think what I find with most of my clients is it's a decision, not like I can't do it. It's like I'm not willing to. I'm not willing because everyone's known me to work this amount. Everyone, this is what people expect out of me. Why it's like a vitality, like, hey, you know, I'm in my 40s. Why would I slow down now? Let's wait till we're 65 or 70. And then, you know, you're just seeing your most vital years pass by.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot, Brian and I do. Just like, we can try to add more and more to our plates. But then by the time we're able to enjoy all of that, what if, like, we're not physically really able to?
Right.
You know, our mid-60s, upper 60s, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So it's
not that that's old. Like, I get that you can still have a
right.
but I don't want to wait, you know, and try to scrunch it all in 10, 15 years or something. So especially when I feel like these are great years. So
yeah, absolutely. Soft retirement phase. Focus more on fitness.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I love, so we could get what we get done in the morning. We could certainly get it done in less time. The level 2 programming there is a lot if you do it all, but we also talk quite a bit. We are laughing quite a bit, but that's that's important.
Part of the fun. Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's usually her getting us back on track to stay focused. And it's usually me throwing in a joke or derailing something. She puts her headphones in and is like, all right, it's time to work, you know, but that's part of why we're a good balance, I think.
Yeah. That's really cool.
It's not a job. I mean, you're coming in here for, obviously you want to be really fit. That's a huge part of it. But the social aspect is a part of it. The competition's a part of it. It's not like, you know, you're not training for the Olympics that's coming up next week. You know, we're here to have fun. That's
for the long game, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, this is my social time too, because like I said, I work from home and then the rest of the time driving kids to gymnastics. So this is when I have my face-to-face. I'm all virtual with my job. So it's, you know, the actual in-person interaction is here. So it is a social part for me as well. I like to get things done. I love the programming. I love to check everything off, see where I'm at, all that. But yeah, I definitely love to have the laughs too. That's a big part of it for me.
I always think it's a better option than, like, you know, in the 80s you'd be swirling around like a screwdriver at a bar and having a cigarette or something. And this is a better way to spend 2 hours a day, you know, with your friends, getting healthy, getting strong.
A couple of drinks doesn't hurt every now and then, though.
No, it doesn't.
We've done that too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, it doesn't. But every day, it's not probably good.
The cigarettes hurt.
Right. So, but yeah, and then honestly, even in the classes, like, I was, of course, referring to with Megan in the morning, but like I still do classes a couple days a week for a couple reasons. The new level 2, because that there's a level of competition like that is going to push you
100%.
So I need to not ever do that, or I'll definitely lose a little bit of ground. And it's also just as fun. They're great groups. I always have a blast at those as well. Timing isn't always as convenient; it depends on the day. But I do still try to get at least 1 to 2 a week of those in, because it definitely, I mean, I go way harder in a class. And also, another huge part is then you also have a coach watching. And I still need coached. I'll be the first to admit it. So, just a little, I actually do too. But just like little tips and stuff, like I'll get in habits and not notice that I'm doing something. And, you know, it's always just that's why they're so great. They can see that little thing and all you have to do is this little change, and it makes such a difference with your lift, your skill or whatever. And also just to kind of go over, you know, whatever the workout is, what the stimulus is. And so, and that's also what I love about that programming is it's so versatile. It's so different. Like the more unpredictable it is and weird it is, the more I like it. You'd think I'd like just a cardio endurance type thing. And I used to be like, yes, you know, rock this on all levels or whatever. I hope I've never said that, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then now it's like, if I see one where it's like, okay, there's a bunch of 100-pound sandbags and I don't know, something challenging that I know I'm not great at, that I don't know if I can hang on to, that I don't know if I can even do without failure. That's the type that I like now. Yeah. Those are exciting to me just because, you know, where am I at there? So
it's mentally stimulating too, I think. And it keeps you like alert and awake.
Yes.
Like I've got to really focus here. And I think it's fun. I like to, when a new workout comes out, just kind of like settle into some sort of pace or rhythm. I find it fun to like try to figure that out.
Me too. Yeah. That's exactly what I mean. And I know there's a time that we still need to do those longer cardio pieces and stuff like that. But yeah, when something's a little bit like, I haven't done that before, and that combo is going to be,
it's like playing chess with your body or something.
Yeah, yeah. It's
like when can we push? When do I have to take a break?
Back,
And
it ends up surprising me. I usually go into it like, oh, I'll definitely be able to do this unbroken or whatever, and then like nope, not even close. So why did you laugh so hard at that?
For emphasis.
Okay.
Like, guess again. We were wrong again.
So
well, we're running out of time today. We could do like a 2-hour one. You've been awesome.
I'm available next week, guys. Same time.
Every week.
Do this again.
It's the year of Gretchen.
Thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, this was awesome.
Thank you.
And this is like fun because like we're all like the same age and have kind of gone through the same like sort of fitness thing. So this was really cool. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thanks.
People are going to love this one.